Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Talk with the Saw right here on Superlative Radio. So today I want to talk about Masters of the Universe Revelations, the new animated series that premiered on Netflix. And, it's 5 episodes. If you haven't seen it, I'm not going to say go watch it and then come back and watch this. Because if you haven't seen it, I would probably consider yourself lucky. So don't watch it.
That doesn't say much. Okay. I haven't seen it, so I can't say much.
Yeah. Now, there are a couple things I will say that are very good about it. The voice cast is fantastic. They have some great voice actors. They've got Mark Hamill. They've got Tony Todd. They've
That's
got
better than some that we've watched.
Yeah, exactly. They've got a lot of really good voice actors. They've got a really good voice cast. The animation is phenomenal.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, like the animation is really good. It's amazing. I mean, and anybody who's seen the trailer can attest to that. The animation is fantastic. But that is pretty much the extent of all that is good about it. While the voice cast is good, I'm not happy with some of the voices in the sense of the characters they're portraying. Not that the voice actors didn't do a good job, just that the characters they are portraying aren't as they should be.
They're not staying true to...
So, as an example, if you are a fan of He-Man and you've watched the show over the years, you know that the 2001 series that they did, the voices were pretty close to the originals from the 80s. Now, of course, the only difference with that one compared to the 80s one is Cringer, as you know, Prince Adam's cat, who becomes Battle Cat when he becomes He-Man, didn't talk in the 2000X series. But in the 80s series, he had a very, kind of whiny, Adam, I don't want to be involved in this. That's kind of how he talked. Okay. Well,
Mr. Furley,
No. So
that's what it sounded like to me
there. The new Cringer voice, while he's still not super brave, it doesn't sound like very, I guess, cringery. I guess it just doesn't sound like he's like the fraidy cat that he should be. The other voice that was really not well done was Merman. And if you've listened to the original, you'll understand what I mean. Alan Oppenheimer did Merman in the 80s, and he did a phenomenal job with the gurgly voice. He did it like he was actually talking underwater, which was really phenomenal. The new one was just a regular voice. I mean, voice actor did a good job. There's not that. It's just, it didn't remind me of Merman. The show itself, like I said, was very well animated. And so there's 5 episodes, as I said, and I've got them right here. The first one is called The Power of Grayskull. And the second one is called The Poisoned Chalice. The third one is The Most Dangerous Man in Eternia. The fourth one is Land of the Dead. And the fifth one is The Forge at the Forest of Forever. Now, it's... Oh, man, I really just this
You don't seem happy about it.
No, and this show has been hammered to death. As Overlord DVD put it, this woke wankery is just
ooh, that hurts.
It's unbelievable. Before the show came out, there's another YouTube channel called Clownfish TV, and they had heard from somebody who apparently is on the inside that this is called the Teela Show. It's what should have been titled, not the Masters of the Universe, not a show about He-Man. And of course, Kevin Smith, who's the creator and showrunner for the show, and he wrote the first episode. He said, "Oh no, that's not the case. He-Man's in our show. He's a big presence in the show. He has a big part to play. Yes, Teela has a quest to go on and whatever, but it's definitely all about He-Man." Well, they kill He-Man in the first episode, which is supposed to be impossible, but they do. They kill him in the first episode, and then dollars to donuts to make it even worse, they kill him in the last one too. After he comes back, they kill him. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, or at least it looks like they killed him, which I'll explain. So the first episode, basically, it is Skeletor, who's voiced by Mark Hamill, and basically he just sounds like his Batman animated Joker doing Skeletor. It just, well, he's a phenomenal voice actor. The voice just doesn't fit Skeletor. All I could picture the whole time I looked at it was I was seeing the Joker. I have to expect him to go, "Now, Harley, why don't we go get Batsy over there?" You know, like that's kind of what I expected him to say. That's how it looked. But anyway, so the story is Skeletor has finally realized that the real power is hidden deep inside Castle Grayskull that he wants to get. And in the process, him and He-Man get into a final battle against each other. And He-Man stabs Skeletor, but in the process actually unlocks basically all the magical power of the universe. And in order to contain it, the sorceress, she stops time for a fraction of a second. And in that fraction of a second, He-Man uses his power sword to absorb all of this energy so that it doesn't destroy everybody else there. And in the process, it kills him. So the sword, of course, gets split into two different halves. Skeletor looks like he gets banished. And now, if you guys know anything about the original He-Man toy line, of course, it was based around there being two halves of the power sword, and it was how you brought them both together, which gave you the power to unlock Grayskull to get inside with the toy line. That's how it kind of went. And they kind of mirrored this a little bit in the 2000 series when Skeletor had two halves of the power sword together, but it didn't quite work the same way. So Man-at-Arms had to build He-Man another power sword, and it was just, anyway, it is what it was. But the sword gets split into two. One half goes basically to hell, and the other half goes to heaven. And of course, Teela finds out that Adam was He-Man, and then she feels betrayed by her father and Orko and Cringer and Queen Marlena for not telling her that that's who he was. Of course, King Randor gets pissed off at Man-at-Arms and banishes him for it. It's just like it's all around. It's all around just.
Sounds confusing.
It's not confusing if you've watched the original show.
Okay, maybe that's why.
It's not confusing. It's just that it's so. I don't know.
Off the mark?
Yeah, it just really is. So they go off, and basically it comes to the point where Evelyn meets up with Teela and a couple years later and tells her that they need to go on this quest to do something or whatever. Basically, bring both halves of the sword back. They talk to the sorceress, etc. To bring both halves of the sword back. So they have to go to hell, and then they have to go to heaven, and they have to get both halves of the sword and bring it back and forge the sword again, and then release all the power back so that it can go back into Grayskull and all, basically fix everything. In the process, they end up killing Orko. They end up killing Roboto. And
arigato.
Yeah. And as I said, it looks like they killed He-Man. But when they go to heaven, basically, they find out that He-Man is there. And so he makes the choice to leave. Basically leave heaven to go back to, because you can leave, and if you do, you just can never come back. It's kind of the impression that they give, is that if you leave paradise, you can never return to it. So against all the previous people who were He-Man, like King Grayskull and Hero and all the guys that used to be He-Man over the years, are telling him, if you leave, you can't come back, Adam. And he's like, So he leaves with them. He goes back to Grayskull, and they talk, and they've got the sword finally. And of course, Roboto dies forging the sword. Orko dies protecting the others, getting away from Hell while fighting Scareglow, so that they can't. And Scareglow was voiced by Tony Todd. If you don't know who Tony Todd is, he played Worf's brother in Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Okay, I know who he is.
Fantastic actor. And in Next Generation.
Yeah.
And he played an older version of Jake in Deep Space Nine, in the episode where Cisco got trapped and watched Jake grow old.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember
Anyway,
that one.
yeah. So, I mean, he's been big in Star Trek. He's been on a lot of stuff. He's done a lot of voice acting. He's a great voice actor. He did a great job as Scareglow. I thought he was fantastic. But that's how Orko dies, is fighting him. And anyway, essentially, they get back and just, they're like, oh, well, are you ready to absorb all the power of the magic and release it back? And he's like, yep. So he swings the sword around, he holds it up, and he's like, by the power of... And just as he's about to say Grayskull, he goes, what? And you see blood fly out of his mouth. And you look down, and there's Skeletor standing behind him, having run him through. And he falls to the ground. Skeletor picks up the sword, says, by the power of Grayskull, and becomes Skeletor He-Man god guy. Like, it's ridiculous. And of course, it looks like Adam is dead. So it just, to me, it was all around disappointing everywhere. The reunion between Adam and Cringer when he came back from heaven was really, actually, I think, rather touching. It was really cool. Because, of course, Cringer was just really so happy to see Adam again. And, I mean...
All right. Bottom line, as we always say, what do you say on 10?
5.
Ooh, for you, that's not good.
I'm a huge He-Man fan, and I still I have the original one all on DVD.
Yeah.
And I watch it. I sometimes put it on for Benjamin. He watches it. It's a great cartoon.
But 5.
It's funny, like in the original one, like He-Man, yes, he wields a sword, and they have guns, and they have blasters, and all these things, and whatever. But you don't actually ever see anybody get hurt. It's definitely was a show. It was done by Filmation.
Right.
So, it's a show. It was definitely made for kids, and it has a good moral. And at the end, they always have one of the characters talk about the moral of the story and whatever. So it's really good for kids to watch.
Yeah, but 5 for you.
The 2000 series is probably my favorite of the two. It's phenomenal. It is absolutely mind-blowingly cool. And this one I was looking forward to because the animation looked good. From what they showed us in the trailer, it looked like it was going to be cool. I was really hoping that I could have believed Kevin Smith and that it wasn't going to be the Teela show, because that's what it really was. He-Man was in the first episode. They do a couple of flashback clips with him throughout the other episodes, but he's really not there. It's basically just Teela and her girlfriend, basically, and Evil Lynn going off to, basically save everything. And there's not enough Man-at-Arms in it, and he was really cool in it. He was really well done. But yeah, like a 5, and even that might be generous. That might be really generous. And I think the only thing that I might be giving it a 5 over is simply because of the animation, the quality of the voice acting. The first episode up until He-Man died was really good. And the point where Cringer and Adam met again, I really liked that scene. I did really like Orko in this show. I really liked him. I was disappointed to see them kill him. Because when you look back at the 80s series, the reason Orko was thrown in, and he was a character that wasn't initially added the way he was supposed to be. In the original series, the way Lou Scheimer, who was the head of Filmation at the time, when he put Orko into the show, he did it as he was supposed to represent the kid watching the show. He was supposed to represent the young, naive child, innocence that's there, to make them feel like they were a part of the show. Orko was supposed to be them. And Orko was very well done in the new series. He was very, very well done. He was well voice acted. He was portrayed excellent. And I was very disappointed to see them kill him off. I forgot to say they killed Moss Man too. Skeletor burns him alive in the first one, torches him to death. But I mean, otherwise it was a decent show. It's just that I think what only is lending me to have it as a 5 is those 3 things: the animation, the voice acting, and Orko, and this, I guess, 4 things, and the scene with Cringer and Adam reuniting.
But other than that, you wouldn't.
No.
Okay.
Well, it was not good. Some of the other characters were portrayed, like I said, fine. Like Man-at-Arms was fine. Beastman was fine. Triclops was fine. Trapjaw, the little we saw of him, was fine. Let me think. The Sorceress was fine. Evelyn was fine. But yeah, like, again, Merman was fine other than the voice.
Yeah.
The way he acted made sense and everything. So... But again, it boils down to, it was not what I was led to believe, and that's extremely disappointing.
It would be.
It really, really bothers me that they would do that. Now, I'm not going to say He-Man actually was killed twice, because there is a chance. I mean, Adam did get stabbed. It is entirely possible that he survives that, because it's just a stab wound. Maybe he will survive. I mean, Skeletor survived He-Man running him through with his sword, so maybe Adam will survive getting stabbed by a staff. But it's just that it's like, well, if you're not going to, I guess, have really He-Man be in your show, it's really not a Masters of the Universe show. Like, that's
false advertising.
Yeah. And I mean, it's really getting torn apart online over it. I mean, there's a lot of good things about the show. There's just the overwhelming feeling of it not being a He-Man show is disappointing when that's who you're looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, that's who you
like.
I
was looking forward to seeing He-Man and Skeletor battle against each other again. I was looking forward to seeing He-Man and Battle Cat doing really cool things, and there are times you see that, but it's only in the first episode. Like, so it's I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. If you watch it, just be prepared that it's not probably the show you're expecting to watch. It's not the show that it should be. Because, I mean, you know what I'm like when it comes to stuff. I don't believe in being told one thing and it being something else.
Right.
So
oh, yeah, for sure.
That annoys me. And
for you to give it a 5, that doesn't say much.
Yeah,
so,
it really doesn't. Now, the first episode, like I said, I'd give that probably an 8 or a 9. It was great.
But it just took a nosedive after.
As soon as they kill He-Man, it just goes...
Yeah, so...
it's like, wow, really? Like, really? No one is expecting him to die. It's He-Man. Like...
There you go.
But... Whatever. I mean, it is.
So
what
be
it is.
prepared.
Yeah, be prepared. It's not really.
It's false advertising.
Yeah, it is. It's not what you're probably expecting. Yeah. So if you watch it, as you can see behind us here, I've shown some clips from the different episodes, and I've shown the animation. So as you can see from the animation, I mean, it is phenomenal. There is no question. It is awesome. And like I said, the voice acting, great. I really wasn't sure about Sarah Michelle Gellar doing the voice of Teela. But overall, I think she did a fine job. I don't think there was anything wrong with it. I didn't like the way Teela was written, but I didn't think it had anything to do with the way Sarah Michelle Gellar portrayed her. I think, she can only act with what she's given, right? And
that makes perfect sense.
If it's written a certain way, then she can only deliver the lines as they want them delivered. So, in that sense, I won't blame her.
Yeah.
Because I can't really blame her.
She's just doing her job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I can't blame the voice actors for that. But I can say that I didn't like the way Teela was written. She was probably and the sad part is the show is mostly about her. And that's really unfortunate because Teela was a girl. Like when Kim watched it with me, and when we watched it, like, because Kim watched the original one in the 80s, and she's like, they ruined Teela. And I said, oh yeah, did they ever? She's like, she used to be like, they turned her into, like this, like Teela had, like they made her extremely masculine looking. Like she had no boobs. They cut her hair all off and she had it all shaved on one side. She looked like a dyke. Yeah. And I don't care what people think of that term. That's what she looked like. When you think of the atypical dyke, that's what she looked like.
Doesn't sound very titillating.
Yeah, and like if you guys know anything about the original show, Teela was very feminine, but she could kick butt. She was a really, really, there was a reason she was captain of the guard, the Royal Guard, because she could fight well. She was a really good fighter. But she had curves, she had that hourglass figure. She was pretty. She was the kind of thing that I would think. She reminds me of kind of like how people would portray or should portray or think of Wonder Woman, right? Like that should, or She-Ra in the case of the He-Man stuff as well. Like, oh look, there's something that if I had been a little girl at the time would have been like, well, that's a really good hero to want to grow up to be, like,
or a good role model.
A good role model, yeah. Like because there was nothing bad about her. There was nothing bad about her. She was a great character. She was well written, but this one, it's like they just took that and it's just like they had it's just like they dropped a big lump of dung right on her, and it's unfortunate because Teela was one of the best characters in the original show. And
so they threw that out the window.
And she was good in the 2002 series, as well. So, but for them to just turn around and like dump all over her and not make her look very girly, and it's like, what's that now? See, there's something that I gotta ask. What is wrong with the world today?
Oh, geez, there's a question.
Oh, yeah, when we can't portray strong female characters that are still feminine. Why can't we do that today? Why is it that everything has to be almost like non-gender today? Like what, and why is it that in everything that happens today, every TV show out there, and don't get me wrong, I have no problem with gay people or lesbians or trans,
none of us do.
Whatever.
None of us do.
I have no problem with it. But it is portrayed in everything to the point it's being shoved down everybody's throats today. And the problem with that is it's not realistic.
No.
And I get that they are like, well, these people haven't been represented on TV very well in the past.
But TV isn't realistic. Okay.
No,
and movies aren't realistic.
But I know. But like, if you think about it logically, okay, like, and I had this conversation, Kim and I had this conversation. I said, like,
you and I have had this conversation.
Gay and lesbian people only amount to, like, I think it's 8 to 12% of the total population, right? And trans people, it's like 1 to 2% of the whole population of the whole planet. So in almost 8 billion people, that's not a lot of people. So if that's the case, then why is it that it's not represented that way in TV and movies?
Because TV and movies aren't real life.
Exactly. It's represented as if it's everywhere.
That's right.
As if it's the most common thing in the world, but it's not.
No. But
like 9 times out of 10, if you swing a dead cat in the room, you're not going to hit a gay person, right? Because 8 to 12% would be that one person you're not going to hit.
Yeah. But right? It's just one of those. Yeah, I know.
That's what I'm saying. And it's like Teela could have still been Teela. She could have, like, and this is the other thing. It's like, why is it that they're afraid to portray women as strong, attractive, feminine individuals? There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing. Like, I think personally, like, if you're going to be attracted to a woman, if she's a strong, feminine, wonderful, beautiful woman, you're gonna be attracted to her. That's what men should be drawn to. That's, you know, like.
Well, there's a lot of men that are not. They're what's the word? They're. Well, I'm not going to say scared because that's not the word, but they're
intimidated.
Intimidated, that's the word. Thank you. By a strong woman. There's a lot of men that are.
Well, you know, I don't get it. I mean, I get that they wanted to make Teela very heroic and they wanted to make her very like tough and blah 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 blah, and I get that. But she was that in the original series, and she still looked and sounded and acted like a woman. What's wrong with that? Why did they have to make such a drastic departure from that?
Welcome to the world.
Like, that's what I mean. That's what I guess I'm not understanding. Why is it that they have to make such a drastic change to a character when there was nothing wrong with the original portrayal, even by today's standards? In fact, by the standards of 82 when it came out, it was ahead of its time. Women weren't portrayed like that. If you go back to the early 80s, how many strong women can you picture or remember from any TV series or movie or whatever? The only one I can think of is Ripley from the Alien series. Before that. And then in 84, they did Terminator, and they had Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
But before, like, really, what else was there? Well, there was He-Man. He-Man had Teela. What else? I can't think of anything else. I really can't. G.I. Joe started, okay? I guess G.I. Joe started in 82 as well, or 83. They had Scarlett, I guess. Okay, all right. I guess you can say they had Scarlett and the Baroness. So there's a couple of female characters that were pretty strong characters. But I mean, like, if I think of real, like, live action TV, I can't really think of any. Daisy Duke, maybe. But even then, she was kind of the damsel a little bit here and there. I don't know. What would you say about Daisy Duke?
I don't know. I'm going back to the 60s Batman and Batgirl or whatever.
Batgirl was ahead of her time.
Yeah. You know, that was 60s, and she was a strong woman who fought and kicked ass.
Yeah, she was ahead of her time.
So, you know, Yvonne Craig played that. So that was there. And I mean, that's 66. So, you know, there was at least one going on.
Yeah.
That's the only one.
Technically, by the time they brought her on, it was 69.
Okay, well, still, you know, it's still 60s.
Yeah.
So that's the only one. That's why I was racking my brain.
The only other character I can think of, maybe that was a strong character, that was Samantha from Bewitched.
Yeah,
that was the 60s. Yeah, she was a good female character. But I don't. And again, another strong female, you know, lead character that was feminine. You know, so I mean, okay, they existed, but they were rare.
No, they weren't. They were the exception rather than the rule.
Yeah,
you're right.
Whereas today, you know, we've got like a full-on movie about a couple movies on Wonder Woman.
Well,
we've got Black Widow.
Got, you know, exactly.
Like,
yeah,
we've got really strong female characters today, and that's fantastic. And I'm so disappointed at the way they ruined Teela. I guess it's just because I didn't think there was anything wrong with her original portrayal, and they could have made her just as cool. They did it in the 2000 series where they made her still feminine and still girly, but still a good kick-ass fighter, and they made her cool. So I guess they could have done that today.
Well, there you go. Screwed it up.
Anyway, and I know you didn't watch it.
No, I didn't.
But so I can't say what you think of it because I know you didn't watch it. And it's kind of just been me talking the whole time. But as someone who grew up watching those cartoons, it's why I'm passionate about things like when I watch the new Transformer stuff and I'm like, and I cringe at it. And I say, this is why I don't like it.
I understand. You know how passionate I am about things. You know,
or I look at this new He-Man and I think, oh, come on. And I cringe at it.
Yeah.
And it's really because...
I know that feeling.
You know, when you have an attachment to something, I'm not going to be one of those people who go, they ruined my childhood. They didn't ruin my childhood. My childhood was great.
Yeah.
Because my childhood had those things in it that were good.
They ruined your childhood.
They're ruining the children's childhoods of today. That's who they're ruining.
Yeah.
They're ruining their childhoods because they're screwing these things up. and they're not showing an accurate portrayal of what these things should be. And that's why people, I think, get upset, is because it's not that they're like, you're ruining my childhood. Like Michael Bay ruined my childhood with Transformers. You know, Michael Bay didn't ruin my childhood with Transformers. He just ruined the portrayal of the characters from my childhood.
You know what the problem is? They're trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You don't need to.
No.
Think about, if it was a success once, it will be a success again.
Yeah.
You don't need to reinvent something to make it better.
Yeah.
Because chances are a reboot or a redo or whatever is not going to be better than the original.
It's rarely better.
Rarely. Exactly. Rarely better. And I can tell you, in all of the Transformers series that I have watched, and I've seen every one of them, there is not one of them that is better than the original. And I know there are people that are going to be like, yeah, you're just saying that because you're from the... Well, no, you're not. You're not going to find one better than the original. And the reason is because, first of all, the original gave us the characters. It's the same thing with He-Man. The original gave us the characters. Yeah. It gave us their portrayal. It gave us our feelings of them. It gave us everything that came
Everything
from
originated there.
That's right. So nothing is ever going to be better than it.
That's right.
There might be things that might tell a better story, or there might be things that are better animated or are better whatever.
But you won't nail that original.
But nothing is going to cover all those bases in one thing, because nothing is ever better. Like if they do Dukes, like look at when they did Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. No, I don't want to fucking talk about it. I mean, those redo movies are fucking terrible. Nothing is going to beat the original Dukes of Hazzard. Nothing. Nothing.
Same with Starsky and Hutch. And
there's
same
a reason with Dukes of Hazzard, when they brought Coy and Vance in, there was a reason that show took a tanking dive in its 5th season, because Bo and Luke weren't there.
That's right.
You can't reinvent the wheel.
No. And that's why they had to come back.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't working.
Yep, exactly. And that's why Warner Brothers had to go crawling on their hands and knees to get the two of them back.
That's right.
And it's, when you think about it, that's true of everything that comes. Everything. Look at Star Trek, right? Like, why do people love Kirk and Spock and Bones? Why do they love them? Look at the original portrayal of them. That's why they love them. It's not because of how they were done in the J.J. Jar Jar Abrams movies, I'll say. You know? Like, there's a reason for that. They just... Why do you think every time they've portrayed Darth Vader, they've tried and always brought James Earl Jones back to do the voice?
Why?
Even in the animated stuff.
Because you can't reinvent the wheel.
Because you cannot get better than James Earl Jones as Darth Vader, because he's the definitive voice of him.
That's right. Exactly. I know.
So that's the thing. Like, when you do these things, it's like you don't need to change everything. All you need to do is write a good story and keep the characters the same as they were, and I guarantee you will have a success on your hands.
But they don't
if
see
you
that.
keep, like, one of the things that makes Transformers Prime such a good show is when they wrote Optimus Prime and Megatron, in addition to the fact they actually got Peter Cullen and Frank Welker to do the voices, who were the original voices to begin with, was the fact that at the heart of those two characters, they stuck to who they were originally.
That's the key.
And that's the key. You can write a different story. You can tell a different story.
But
when
keep the people...
the core value of that character and who it is, you're going to always have a success. That's just how it is. If it was a success with the original and you keep it that way, you'll have a success again. And that's why the 2002 series of He-Man was successful, is because it kept to the core of who those characters were. And it didn't change them in a drastic way.
Like this did, obviously.
Yeah. Anyway, I know this episode has probably gone on a little longer than it should have, but
point was made, though.
I am covering 5 episodes in one here as opposed to just one episode.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm not doing it one episode at a time is as I just don't want to. I only want to talk about this once because that's how bad it is.
It's painful enough doing it once.
Exactly. It's painful enough doing it. And the only reason I'm even doing it is because I said in previous episodes that I was going to review it. Otherwise, I wouldn't bother. I will say, if you hang around and you're here at this point, my next episode of Let's Talk will be probably in about a week and a half or 2 weeks. I'm not sure exactly, because I am going to have a special guest. I'm going to have a friend of mine come on. And we're going to, instead of Dylan here being with me, I'm going to have a friend sitting in with me. And we're going to be talking about Transformers Kingdom, which airs on Netflix this week. It starts on the 29th, I believe. So we will be talking about that. So again, if you tune into that, you'll get to see my buddy in on that with me. So it all depends on his schedule and when he's available for us to film it. So, it may not be as quickly to get up, even though the show airs later this week, it might be a week or two before I get it up because I got to arrange scheduling with him. And, but I really want to have somebody come in and give a perspective on it. No offense.
No.
He couldn't sit through all of Siege.
No.
So I know he's not going to be able to sit through Kingdom, but Matt will.
Yeah.
So it'll give me somebody to talk to about it, and we can actually go in
Bounce
depth
better.
off the show.
Yeah.
And that will probably be a long episode too, because we're going to review the whole series. It's all 6 or 8 episodes or whatever it's going to be. We're going to review them all. So it will be a bit longer, but we'll be able to go a little bit in depth on it, and you'll get to hear a different perspective.
Yeah.
So that said, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Please don't forget to check out our other content on Facebook, on our website, on YouTube here. Check our other channels out for our vlogs. Don't worry, Jersey Ham is going to come back. We're just not sure when yet, but it is going to.
We are definitely going to be back at it.
We have another half dozen episodes in the can written.
Yeah.
And some even filmed that just need to be put together. It'll be back. We're just not sure when. Also, you can check out our merch on our website under the shop tab.
Superlativeradio.com.
There's a lot of great stuff there. And if you want to hear some of our radio stuff, we are airing 2 radio shows, Country Gold Mine and Vinyl on Chrome.
Yep.
And you can hear my 0-hour show on our website. So check those out. In the meantime, have a great day, and we will catch you guys for another one.
Stay safe.